press and the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. Copy of same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and on the municipal website. The meeting will come to order. Would you all please stand for the flag salute? Attention, salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tom, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Here.
Ms. Talby?
Here.
What is your pleasure regarding the minutes of our January 3rd meetings?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
Is there any public comment? You have 3 minutes.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. I see no restrictions on the ordinances insofar as being able to make public comment. But just in case there is a restriction, I would request that ordinance concerning bonding 03, 04, and 05, Mayor, have a stipulation and a provision that as soon as the FEMA compensation comes in, that these municipal bonds be retired, and that money should not be viewed as a slush fund for continued spending above and beyond, as it has been under your administration for the past 6 years. And I would furthermore request that we try to restrict both bonding, hiring to an absolute minimum, and that both bonding and hiring be done by a unanimous vote of this commission.
Hey, John, could you do me a favor, just step back for 1 second? Let's see if we can make that go away.
And it goes away.
Thank you.
I should go away.
Test.
I think I should go away, but that's the point. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else?
Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow. I'd like it on the record that I propose that we do not vote on changing the departments. I also feel very strongly that if Mayor Becker feels that he should be the supervisor of the city clerk, rather than divide up departments, and it doesn't make any sense, why don't you just take your old position as head of revenue and finance, as you had for the previous 4 years, and have Commissioner Blumberg be head of public safety, which he had for the previous 4 years, and therefore everything will be as balanced as it's meant to be. The intention is not for the mayor to be in control of the school district, public safety, building department, now the city clerk and the deputy clerk, and whatever else. So on record, I'm making that suggestion. On record, I'm making the suggestion to Commissioner Tobby and the rest of the commission that if we do hire this person, that it not be a full-time position with benefits, that we hire a contract person for a year. And the question about the new hire, is that someone from Margate? Or is that someone from a community that has no familiarity with Margate? Lastly, these are for Mayor Becker. I just learned we spent $600 on a building department study. At March 15th meeting, the commission agreed not to spend any more money on a new building for the building department other than the $4,000 of feasibility study. That was March 15th. On March 18th, I asked these questions. 3 months ago, I haven't received an answer. Why was a total of $9,528 paid to CBA Architect per purchase orders dated March 15th, after March 15th? The majority of this money was to pay for design and construction documents, which were phases 2 and 3 of the project, which were not authorized to go forward. The invoice is dated March 30th, with a note from the architect. This is our fee up to March 29th, when the project was put on hold as directed by Commissioner Tobby. The ordinance didn't even become final until April 30th. Mayor Becker, did you authorize these payments after you agreed, along with the other commissioners, not to spend any money over $4,000?
I don't remember back in March.
You don't remember authorizing the funds?
I don't remember.
Well, the
in
signatures were
March.
Commissioner Tobby, even though the building department is you. And they were authorized and they were paid. And I've asked why for 3 months. I've sent an email to the business administrator, Mr. Deeney, with these very specific questions. I have copies of the invoices, and I was told that that Mr. Deeney, as I'm sure he did, provided a report to the whole commission. I know Commissioner Blumberg hasn't received a report. The taxpayers would like an answer to these questions. Total of $14,000 plus the $600 I just heard was spent on a building we never built.
Sharon, I can just tell you that this in fact is and has been a concern of mine. I recall, and I have not gone back. It sounds like you've done a lot of research on this and maybe your homework. I do recall, and I mentioned it to Rich, the workshop meeting where we had an invoice. I had thought that invoice was in the neighborhood of $3,000. And I recall at that meeting that we discussed that we were freezing any more spending as related to that project because we knew that the project was being protested. So it's a surprise to me that invoices came in after that date and in fact were paid. So I will ask, and I know Rich has been very busy with the storm, that he look into that and we try and get you the answers that you were asking for.
Okay.
We owe it to the taxpayers.
Yes, we do. And Sharon, you filed an Oprah lawsuit, so I am assuming that that's been...
Excuse me?
There's an Oprah lawsuit?
I filed no lawsuit. No. There's no Oprah lawsuit from what I understand. There's conversations between a judge and the city solicitor because Oprah requests, which we all know have to be complied with. There's some questions, that information that I've asked for has not been complied with. What this has to do with the answers to these questions, I'm not sure, other than trying to pivot into me being a troublemaker, which you like to do.
Okay.
Just like I don't have a suit against the city, you turned a personal suit against me and to the taxpayers paying for your defense. So let's just keep things the way they are. Thank you. And the other question I have is on this. If
This
you're
is
head of the
public
building
comment,
department,
not
if you're
question.
head of the building department, why is Commissioner Tobby signing the purchase orders?
She's in charge of buildings.
That it was for the building department.
Commissioner-
Public buildings is under my hat.
Public buildings are in charge of...
And-
I understand, but if we go back to what you commented at the last meeting, we're not supposed to be having individual departments, excuse me, Mayor, we're not supposed to be having individual departments. You said yourself, we should be working as a team. We should be
I
talking to
agree with
each
that,
other.
Sharon.
I know you say you agree with that, but it's like, do what I say, not as I do. Okay? We're not individual departments, remember that.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I speak to the building department? I can't recall last year either, but I can assure Sharon Simon that nothing was done that was not supposed to. I remember when we passed the ordinance, we were under a time frame to be out of the building that we occupied now by the end of January. So we were doing everything we could after that ordinance was passed. And then when I forget what meeting it was and what the date was, but whenever we halted that, I did give that directive to CB Architects. I said, we can't do any more work. And maybe the invoices, I don't know. I know Rich has been working with you on that, but maybe the invoices were for work that might have been done before we said halt.
Brenda, could we get a copy of that communication that you and CB have? And I'm sure it was probably an email. Could we, I think it would help clear this up if we had a copy of the communication and when it was dated and what it said.
Yeah, I'll I don't think I have it in my inbox, but I probably have it in my file. I'll get it.
I have
would
copies
help.
of everything in here, I'll hand it to you. But the important thing is March 15th was the date, and there was supposed to be no more spending. The purchase orders are March 20th and March 30th for work that was done after 3/15. The ordinance wasn't even final, and they did work on phases 1 and 2. Not appropriate.
I can't, I don't have that. I can.
Well, you can
Okay.
assure me all you
Thank
want.
you, Sharon.
Documents
Before-
show otherwise.
Steve, can I just take a break? I want to ask the solicitor a question. Did you not forward me a copy of an Oprah suit filed by Mrs., or some attorney on behalf of?
I
Miss-
know my memory's getting bad, but I would pretty sure there is a lawsuit filed by Mrs. Simon. What was an order to show cause, which the return date will not be till the end of February. And what we're going to try to do, and the judge conferenced us with Ms. Simon's lawyer and me to try to resolve this and produce all those documents before there is a return date on the order to show cause. But most definitely, I have received an Oprah lawsuit. Yes?
Okay.
Yes?
I'm not aware of
Or
that, okay?
Did you dismiss it? If you
No,
dismissed it, that's good news.
excuse me, I didn't dismiss it,
All right.
and I have a suit to compel the commission to follow the Oprah rules, but I don't know what that has to do with the fact that, do I not have the right to Oprah things?
You absolutely have the
What
right
does
to
that
Oprah
have to do
things.
with the questions
And
I
your
asked?
lawsuit, you
I
feel
was
you
try-
weren't furnished documents, although our city clerk's office did furnish you, it looks to me like a lot of documents, but we're gonna go through it with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that you get every document that you are entitled to.
I have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide. I'll give you my whole file. I mean, whatever's in there, you can have.
Right.
That's fine, the problem is you don't answer the questions once we have the documents. You can't answer to the questions, or you choose not to. You paid for work done after you agreed not to have the work, to spend money.
Well, that's you. I don't know about that.
I just gave you the documents, and
No,
I'll
this is
have
an
them all
email
sent to
between you and Rich
I'll give you
Ganey.
the documents, okay?
Thank you.
You signed them, you should know what they are.
Next, please.
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner. While we're getting all these documents, why don't we, anybody happen to remember how much money was spent on Firehouse Number 2? Do you remember that, Maury? That was your department. Do you remember that? Before it was, then it wasn't built? How much money was spent, do you know?
$8.5 million.
No, I think it was about $250,000 at least. I'd like to get some of the, as long as you're getting documents together, let's get some documents about the money that was wasted in Firehouse Number 2, okay? Let's get some of them together. What do you think? So next week, when you get all these other documents, I want to see that. Now you're talking some money. You're not talking $4,000 or $10,000. You're talking $250,000, okay? This is what you resided over when you were the head of the police and fire, okay? Wasting a ton of taxpayer money, not 10 cents, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it would have been millions of dollars, okay? So when you talk about financial responsibility, you know, I don't think you're not talking to me so good about that, okay? I don't believe you.
Thanks, Steve.
Anyone else? Motion to close public comment.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg.
Yes.
Ms. Dalby.
Yes.
Is there any public comment on resolutions?
Sewell, 22 West Drive. I join in the others, and I join in Commissioner Blumberg requesting that the resolution be tabled insofar as transferring of powers unless and until the city administrator and the city solicitor can assure us that he can answer each and every legal question that was raised by Commissioner Blumberg. And furthermore, that there has been a complete and exhaustive research into NJSA 4072-6 insofar as administrative law, civil case law, because to simply go on the bare bones statute, I think is inappropriate. And I think it would be far better to continue to research this matter and have it done properly, legally, professionally, ethically, and civilly. Because otherwise, having a situation as we were forced to witness tonight, where there is virtually zero transparency, where there is zero communication between the departments, between the commissioners, I think this is appalling. If you really want to talk about being civil, Mayor, start communicating. Start communicating. Bill Ross could do this up until Sunday. You seem to be unable to do it. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
I would just like to say, John, I think your suggestion is a good one. Not to mention that the fact that when the voters vote for 3 commissioners and have voted for the past 50 years in Margate, they have a reasonable expectation that the 3 commissioners will be placed in 3 distinct departments: Revenue and Finance, Public Safety, and Public Works. And in that regard, we are absolutely, in less than 2 hours, changing a 40-year dynamic without giving the people of Margate an opportunity to comment on it. And I think that we're doing the residents and the voters a disservice, and I trust that we're going to regret voting on this tonight if we don't table it.
That resolution, that's not a number because we don't know if we're voting on it or not tonight, but I'm going to comment on it, is that you mentioned 2 outside counsels that you spoke to with regard to this, Mayor Becker. Who are the 2 outside counsels?
Pardon me?
The 2 outside counsels that you spoke to regarding this resolution.
I said I spoke to a solicitor and outside counsel. I did not say 2 outside counsels.
So who's the outside counsel?
Do I have to answer that? Solicitor, do I have to answer that?
Transparency, Mayor.
No,
Would that
it's
not be a
attorney-client.
personnel matter?
It's personnel matter. Let's not get into this.
That's personnel. I can't do that.
Transfer departments isn't personnel per se, but, so he spoke to this Mr. Abbott, the city solicitor, and an outside counsel. Is that
I
correct?
did.
Okay, and did either of those indicate with pretty
Sharon, this
certainty?
is public comment. This is
On the
not questions
resolution,
and answers.
on the resolution, that comment that with
You
pretty
can- you
fair
may comment on
certainty-
the resolution.
I am. What's the certainty that this would not impact on any financial settlement of an existing whistleblower lawsuit that Mr. Hiltner has against the city?
I'm not able to answer that, Sharon. You know that.
Yeah, no one's able to answer that because the lawyers aren't the one that can determine that. And there's been multiple, from what I understand, already amendments and a lot of issues that have the potential to increase the amount of money that we may ultimately have to pay the city clerk. And if this is going to possibly, even possibly, or potentially be one more thing that can create a huge legal liability for the city, let's not do it right now. Let's wait. Maybe it will be settled within 6 months. Maybe the city clerk will leave. Maybe he'll get some money. Maybe he'll quit, get tired of the persecution. Who knows? Now's not the time to do it because of this legal liability, period. And I'm not even a lawyer. Thank you.
Scott, can you elaborate? You haven't really said much about this resolution or ordinance that we're voting on.
Requested to
Is it,
go forward on the resolution. I talked to Rosie Freed. The mayor called me up. We went over it, and in my opinion, it's legal. It's been done in the past. Under the commission form of government, they do have the legal ability to transfer various departments. And in this instance, there's a swap of departments. 3 departments, not of the same magnitude as the city clerks, of course, but nevertheless, there is a swap of departments. And if the governing body wants to do this, I believe they have the right to do it.
The issue of whether it's legal or not is not the issue. It may be legal. Is it right? Is it in the best interest of the citizens, the taxpayers? And is it going to create more of a legal liability because we have a current lawsuit whistleblower? Those are the questions. I understand it's legal.
And I cannot answer this.
That's
I don't
right.
know the answer.
He can't answer it. God can't answer it. Only the judge can answer it
Okay.
if the case goes before it. You are increasing taxpayers' money, legal liability, both of you are, and that's a shame.
Mike, and I just want to add one thing that I didn't say before, since we are talking about resolutions. I really have no interest in taking on aid to hospitals and the dogs. I spent 4 years listening to complaints about the dogs, and I'd really rather not spend 2 more years. So in all due respect, please, you can keep that department. Don't feel like I will feel slighted if you don't give it to me, because I really don't want it, and I'm going to look into refusing it.
You certainly may have that option. I don't know.
And I will take it.
Any other public comment? Is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Dalton?
Yes.
Mr. Hiltner?
Ordinance 01, amending Chapter 175 Land Use, addressing building heights in accordance with FEMA, advisory base, flood elevation mapping. First reading and second reading is January the 31st at 4 p.m. Is that
Is that a
correct?
question, Tom? Yes, the,
31st is correct?
Special meeting. That is correct.
Okey-doke.
and I can explain why. It's so that the builders now have a legal ordinance to get their building permits under.
Gotcha.
And also, and again, we understand this ordinance is a response to the elevation requirements under the new projected, not yet adopted FEMA map. And the burning question of everyone is, how do you interpret height, and what is the required height, and how high can they go? This ordinance goes a long way to resolving that. We had Mr. Wahlberg's firm put a considerable effort on this through Stu Weiser, and Roger Rubin put an effort. Jimmy Galantino has been right involved in this very heavily. And I would like Jimmy to, for the record, and so people understand, how do you measure height? Because unfortunately, this is a complicated ordinance, but it will allow people to raise their homes to avoid those, what appear to be very heavy flood insurance premiums coming. Jimmy?
Can I have the seat? I think it's to make it very simple so that everybody can understand. We're just asking that when builders come in, where people raise their house, they are to raise their house 1 foot above the base flood elevation. And the base flood elevation is what FEMA has told us on the advisory base flood elevation maps. That's what the number is. There's 5 different areas that are in the new map. Some are 9, 10, 11, 12. We're just asking that we go a foot above to keep our CRS, which is a community rating system, where we get the credit for the flood insurance discount. If we keep the freeboard foot, we keep the CRS program. If we don't use the CRS, the 1 foot, we lose that credit. So we already made a class 6, which means we get 20%, and I hate to see that go down the drain. We're going to allow people, when they do come in to build a house, they can build at the different areas, which are the 28, 30, and 25, which is Marvin Gardens. These are all elevations that are taking above the 1 foot above the base flood elevation. Now I keep pinning that down, 1 foot above, which is our credit for the CRS and the base flood elevation. Any questions?
So, and I see a reporter here, so it gets in the paper correctly, because everybody's calling us up about this. When I mean that, I mean Eddie, Jimmy, and
There's no
myself. We get a lot of calls on this. So, when the finished floor, say Marvin Gardens, I think they're an 11, Jimmy, you recall?
That's how you're going to confuse people. If you go with the
Okay.
existing number, just keep it simple. They go 1 foot above the base flood elevation, which is the advisory base flood elevation. They'll be fine. And they have to use a 1988 datum. You start getting into the 29 datums and the deduction and all the different variables, Scott, you are just going to...
Yeah, and just so you members understand, this 29 datum was being phased out throughout the country. It had already been phased out in Ocean County, hadn't been phased out in Atlantic or Cape May. It adds a whole nother level of confusion. But the bottom line, if you're under 1929 datum and your house is at 11, you're now 9.7 under the old. We don't use the old anymore. So when you look at these maps, they're basically 1.3 above what you're used to. And then we have a baseboard as well as of 1 foot.
Yes,
And that's factored in.
yes.
I'm sure there'll be a lot more discussion on this, but the ordinance is there. Jimmy can explain it to you as they come in. I'm sure Roger, when he does his zoning review. And this is to facilitate people reconstructing their homes or building new.
100% of the people who are under construction right now want to build to the new height. We have a guy on 25 South Union. He's actually raised his house again. He's raising it right now. You can go look. He's got steel beams to get the additional foot.
Thank you, Jim.
I see Jim Silva. If you have any questions for me, ask me after the meeting.
I'll make a motion, we vote on this. First reading, right, Tom?
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Ordinance 02, amend street vacation ordinance number 509 of 1954 on Pembroke Avenue. This is first reading. The second reading is February the 7th at 5 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Ordinance 03 is a bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements as a result of Hurricane Sandy in the amount of $945,000. This is first reading, and second reading is scheduled for February the 7th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr.
Question
Bu-
before you.
Question.
vote on that, please. I think that public hearing has to be on the following meeting, which I think would be probably the 21st. There was an email that I saw this afternoon from the bond council, and they said that they have to go to the local finance board because there's a provision in the law that allows us not to put a down payment down on this, and they have to get approval from local finance. So that second reading would be deferred till the 21st of February.
That'll be the 21st.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Ordinance 04, bond ordinance appropriating $514,800, bonds and notes for various roadway improvements. This is the first reading, and the second reading is February 7th, 5 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Ordinance 05 is a bond ordinance under the water and sewer utility in the amount of $1,654,000 related to the above, the road program, second reading, February 7th, 5 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 16, authorize the payment of claims and payroll.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
17, approves a person-to-person and place-to-place transfer of liquor license 011633005004 to Miyaka Japanese Restaurant.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
18, approves a place-to-place transfer, which is actually an expansion of the premises for liquor license 11633001008 for Sensational Desserts Trading as Johnny's Cafe.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 19, authorizing an agreement between the city and Atlantic County Improvement Authority for ADA bulkhead improvements in the amount of
I'll
$28,915.
make that motion.
I'll
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg? Ms.
Yes.
Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 20, authorize the tax refund amount of $4,255.11 for the reimbursement of tax sale certificate never issued.
Make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 21, authorize the tax refund in the amount of $1,655.17 for an overpayment.
Make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 22 cancels tax balances under $10 per NJSA 48517.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Mr. Talby?
Yes.
Resolution 24, amend contract award to the ACS of Egg Harbor Township not, for Hurricane Sandy cleanup not to exceed an additional $61,360.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Mr. Talby?
Yes.
Resolution 25, authorizes or approves transfers in the 2012 budget.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Mr. Talby?
Yes.
Resolution 26, awards a beach vending license to Paul Vanderine in the amount of $67,100 for the 2013 summer season.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Mr. Talby?
Yes, that's a record, isn't it?
That is not a record. We had
No?
$95,000 about 5 years ago.
Oh.
That's second highest, though. Number 27 authorizes the filing of an application to the local finance board in relation to the, either the refunding and/or the ordinance that we discussed above.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Mr.
second.
Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Tawby?
Yes.
We have three additions that were discussed prior. One is change order number 7 to Aliano Brothers for the Fire Station number 1 alterations in the amount of $3,755.20.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Tawby?
Yes.
We have another item added as discussed earlier for the award of a contract to remediation specialist for mold remediation at City Hall and various buildings in the amount of $147,570.70.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Tawby?
Yes.
And then we have the infamous final one, which I do not have a copy of. Scott, if you could assist me, where I am being thrown to the dogs and the dogs are being thrown to Maury.
Tom, there's really two
Not
resolutions.
not quite, Tom.
Okay.
It's, the city clerk's office is being transferred over to Mayor Becker of the Public Safety, and there are three, as you referred, one of them is the animals and the hospital are being transferred over to Commissioner of Finance, Revenue and Finance. I do not have the resolutions
Two
because the
resolutions, is that
deputy clerk is not here. She has them, and they could be in her office, but I don't have it.
Hey, listen, we're in a hurry to get this done, so we might as well do it by voice vote. How's that sound?
Two resolutions, Tom.
Two separate resolutions, right, Scott?
Correct.
Oh. Is there a question pending? Is there a question pending to me? There are two separate
Two
resolutions.
separate resolutions. First one's the transfer. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
No.
Ms. Tawby?
Yes.
The second one is the transfer of the three departments.
Second one's a transfer of the three departments.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
No.
Ms. Tawby?
Yes, and I'd like to comment. I voted yes because I think we do need more supervision in the clerk's office. Mayor Becker did have this department last term, so I hope that, it will be supervised, as he said earlier.
Thank you. You done, Tom?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Hold on one second.
Hold on.
I think we do have it. I think we do. Let me just take a look. Is this for the, so we're getting approval? Yeah, we did have, it wasn't, that's the one, number 27, that wasn't specifically worded, but it is the resolution that we did adopt, that's going to allow the making an application to the local finance board for the extraordinary repairs resulting from the hurricane. We did adopt that.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.